There are certain things and certain cars in life that very few people get to enjoy. And if you're in the market looking for a specific kind of luxury and opulence, the Bentley brand has to be at the very top of that list. What we have here is the brand's first ever SUV, and naturally, being a Bentley, it's not gonna look or perform like any other SUVs out there. Instead, the Bentayga is the most luxurious SUV of its kind, and it's also the fastest SUV in the world, with an official top speed of 301 kilometers per hour. However, the Lamborghini Urus that was just recently launched is slightly quicker at 305 kilometers per hour. It's a big car, as you can see, spanning over 5.1 meters long. But I find the design to be very well executed in the sense that it's cleverly designed to hide all that bulk. It rides on top of Volkswagen Group's MLB platform, one that it shares with the Audi Q7, Porsche Cayenne and Lamborghini Urus. That means it gets air suspension ascended, and for the first time ever, you can take a Bentley off-road. The Bentayga is available with a number of engines, with the V8 being the smallest. However, this is the one that you're going to want, because under the bonnet is a 6-litre 12-cylinder engine that's twin turbocharged to make 600 horsepower and 900 Newton meters of torque. And how fast does it actually go? Well, the 0 to 100 km sprint is done in 4.1 seconds. Now, to fit such a big engine, all 12 cylinders of it, into this bonnet right here, Bentley couldn't use a normal V12 engine because otherwise it would be too long. So what they did was fit a W12 engine. Yes, that's right, W12. And essentially what it is two V6 engines married together to form a W. The W12 engine takes under 5 hours to assemble, and it's mostly done by hand. It is totally redesigned for this Bentayga and features both direct injection and port injection to improve efficiency, throttle response and emissions. As with all Bentleys, the front fascia is immediately recognizable. You won't mistake it for anything other than a Bentley really, because the look is very traditional. It gets these matrix LED headlights as standard, and the outer ring functions as a LED DRL as well as a signal indicator. Round the side, it gets this signature Bentley air vents, but it's not actually vented, it's only there for aesthetic purposes. What you see on the outside is actually a pretty dressed up version of the Bentayga, starting with the carbon fiber styling kit that goes around the car. At the back, it comes with this huge 2-tiered rear spoiler. Also fitted to this car is this 22-inch wheel wrapped with Pirelli P0 tires, and this option is going to set you back for 20,000 ringgit. And honestly, I find it to be really on the cheap side of things because it's a Bentley. Moving towards the back, things get very distinct and familiar as well, starting with this full LED taillights with the B lettering built right in as graphics. Another prominent feature that I like is this really strong and muscular shoulder line that spans the width of the car. And one way of telling that this is the top of the line Bentayga is through this long and wide oval exhausts. One thing I must comment on is the use of this conventional wiper for the rear. Instead of having it built into the top like most Range Rovers are, this seems like a very common solution to me, and honestly it looks like an afterthought. But interestingly, they've got the spray nozzles built right here. Not bad. Last but not least, before we check out the interior, I want to show you just one more trait that defines all Bentleys, and that is this really muscular rear arch. And it goes all the way back to their classic car range. Now, let's check out the interior. Oh, this by the way is a 48,000 ringgit option, and just get it. On the inside, things just feel so much more opulent. It's so exquisite in here. Now, I know you can't tell from the outside, but once you get inside, you just surrounded and cocooned by just luxury. Now, the whole fascia starts with this iconic twin hoop design that's found on all Bentleys, and although I mentioned earlier that the Bentayga shares the same platform as the Q7, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the entire car is shared with the Q7 as well, because build quality on the Q7 is already considered to be impressive, and if I were to describe it as being like a penthouse, then the Porsche Cayenne, which it also shares the platform with, can be attributed more to a penthouse. But the Bentayga is like a mansion. The dashboard design, again with the whole Bentley traditional touch, gets this twin hoop layout, and to the center, and as well as every other air vents in this car, gets this organ stop thingy to control airflow. And it feels really solid. I mean, I can do this all day. It feels like it's well oiled, but it's lovely. This steering wheel has to be one of the most luxurious ones I've held to date with my bare hands, because it's completely wrapped in leather. Another thing I love about this steering wheel is that it comes with pedal shifters, and it's made entirely out of metal. The quality in this thing, I mean, seriously? Having said that, certain things do feel familiar, beginning with the stalks right here and the cruise control stalk, as well as the buttons in the center console. It feels like I've seen them somewhere, but that's entirely normal because a lot of these parts they share with Volkswagen Group's family. And the buttons, there's a sense of familiarity with the tactility, and it's not a bad thing because it's still very high in quality. Bentley has also done something really thoughtful for the driver and the front passenger. Let me show you. This sun visor you see here, that's one, and then this the other. This being an SUV, it has to come with some sense of practicality, and true enough, you've got this large opening right here to put your phones, and I think it can fit a mini tablet in there, like an iPad mini or something. Two cup holders right here, and a small cutout for you to keep your phones and your house keys and whatnot. And all three come with rubber padded with quilted design. You've never seen that in a car, have you? Also, it's got a rather small opening here for you to keep further stuff away from prying eyes. Down here, you've got a selection of 8 drive modes. That has to be the most drive modes available on a Bentley to date. You've got sports mode, you've got Bentley, comfort, and a number of off-road features. Speaking of off-road, the Bentayga shares the same quattro all-wheel drive system as most Audis, especially the Q7. It may not be entirely the same, but what it means is that the Bentayga is as capable off-road as the Q7. Power gets sent to all 4 wheels through an 8-speed automatic gearbox, and somewhere in the drivetrain there is a torque sensing differential for better off-road grip. As I said earlier, this car gets air suspension as standard, and it's auto-leveling, which means the ride height varies from any one of these 8 drive modes. But should the need arise, like if you get caught in a sticky situation, you can raise, lock, and lower the ride height through these 2 buttons right here. This Bentley embroidery has close to 5,500 individual stitching. Go figure. Now, I'm sorry I sidetracked that for a little bit, but the leather comes from southern Germany bulls, and it's used throughout the cabin, including the headlining. Back here, as you can see, it's pretty spacious for a vehicle of this size, and naturally so, right? But one thing I must comment on is that the window line is a little bit too high for what it is, taking away the whole sense of space that the Range Rover comes with, especially when in the Range Rover you sit taller and the windows open a little bit more. This 5-seat configuration you see here is standard to all Bentaygas, but you can also choose to go with a 7-seat if you have a big family, or if you travel alone most of the time and you're being driven around by a chauffeur, then you can go for the 4-seat ultra premium arrangement. I must admit, I expected a little bit more with Bentleys having center armrests, especially for the rear passengers, because right here you only get 2 cup holders. You've got no special opening or closing mechanism that would make it feel a little bit more special. But the consolation is that the bottom comes with the same quilted rubber lining as you find up front. As a whole, being a passenger in the rear seat of the Bentayga, there are certain things that stand out and are truly impressive. Take for example this rear screen entertainment system. It's a 10.2-inch display with a front-facing camera that doubles as a mirror for you to check yourself out. But this thing, a pair of these, costs 33,800 ringgit. And to compensate for the lack of space from this window line, Bentley has given us this super huge panoramic glass roof. For a more business class touch, you can also choose to go with a fold-down table with the veneer of your choice and this foldable headrest. It's a cost option, but I suggest you go for it if you have VIPs to drive around. It's awesome. There's a nice pop-up touchscreen unit that lets you control the aircon, lets you read driving data, and even gives you access to your heated and ventilated seat functions. One of the most interesting and expensive accessory that you can add to your Bentayga is the Molina Tourbillon. It's a fully automatic mechanical watch made by Breitling, and it has a 50-hour power reserve. Unfortunately, it's not available in Malaysia. But just so you know, it's priced about 2/3 of the car's actual price. It's also ultra exclusive in the sense that it's available to 4 Bentaygas a year. Also fitted to this car is the world's most powerful sound system ever fitted to an SUV. It's driven by a 1950-watt 21-channel amplifier with 20 speakers, 9 mid-range tweeters, 4 advanced bass speakers, and a 300-watt subwoofer. There's also 2 super tweeters to extend the high-frequency range, giving the system the widest audio frequency ever experienced in a car. The front seats feature 22-way adjustment settings. That's right, 22-way adjustments, including heating, ventilation, and massage. The rear seats, if you choose to go with the 4-seat option, comes with an individually powered 18-way adjustable seat. As for the air vents itself, each is individually milled from a solid block of aluminium. And lastly, the boot space. The Bentayga has 430 litres of boot space, which is a little bit smaller compared to the Range Rover's 550-litre boot space. But this means you can load up to 4 full-size golf bags for the occasional weekend trip with your buddies to play golf. And if you choose to, you can have this load assist tray at a price. Handy. And if this is not handy enough, you see these 2 buttons over here? This one lowers the ride height, making loading much easier for shorter people. All Bentley Bentaygas come with a space-saver spare tyre as standard. Now, to address the all-important question, how much does it cost? Well, the Bentayga carries a price tag for just under 2 million ringgit base, but this particular unit, fitted with all the accessories that you see right here, goes for 2.3 million ringgit. Now, the paint, which is Hallmark, is just one of 90 available standard paints. But as with all Bentleys, you can customize the colors and spec it however you want, all to your heart's content. That wraps up our walk around for today. This has been Matthew. I'll see you in the next one.